Right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us again after this morning session with Andrew Monlake, which was excellent on mortgages. I am delighted to be joined by two exceptional agents in London and across the UK. So, who would like to introduce themselves first? Not that you need any introduction, but who would like to go first?
Go on, Charlie.
All right then.
The most important one first.
So yeah, I'm Charlie Perdios from Anthony Pepe Estate Agents in North London. We have 5 offices in North London and on the borders of Hertfordshire. And it's a pleasure to be here with another fantastic agent, my good friend Stephen Brown. You thought I was going to say you, Asad, obviously.
Yeah, you had it all fooled there.
Pleasure to be here and have a chat with my good old friend Stephen and Asad, of course.
No, I'm really grateful for you coming on, so thanks very much. Asad, for people that don't know you, we have the pleasure of Vicky being on here, who was exceptional, shared loads of great stuff. So I'm sure you're going to share loads more amazing, inspirational stuff for two of you.
I hope so.
Asad.
Do you want me to introduce myself as well?
Yes, please.
I'm the Chief Executive of Location. We've got 2 offices now, one in North London, Stoke Newington, and another one in Thetford with Andrew Overman, which we've just opened this week.
Amazing. And how's that started off?
Really, really well, actually. He's actually a bit of a celebrity in his part of the world. So great guys, same sort of culture as us. Brilliant estate agent, and yeah, he's already got his first sale under his belt. Yeah, it's doing really well.
Fantastic. So I'm so excited. Sarah Edmondson's joining us. Thank you. And I am looking very smart. Well, I've got to dress up today. It's royalty, isn't it? So jacket twice in one day. I'm in shock, but thank you, Sarah. Very kind of you. So you two have gone into collaboration on Land and New Homes, which I find fascinating because in my day as an estate agent, if anybody asked me to collaborate with an agent, it will be, well, stick 2 fingers up and tell them where to go. So I find it fascinating that you're doing, and we're starting to see it more and more. And I know we were talking off air as well that you've been to see another exceptional agent in North London as well, to learn and get better and improve. So just why did you decide to join forces, and why did you decide to do it with Land and New Homes?
So we both decided to join the Land and New Homes network. I think that was probably about a year ago now, I said, wasn't it? It must be about a year ago. And we obviously both had aspirations to grow our sort of Land and New Homes business within our agencies. Me and Asad have known each other for a long time now, for a while, and you know, we've got mutual respect for each other's businesses. And we haven't, I think probably because we've both got a different background, so not really an estate agency background. We don't have that, you know, everyone else is the enemy sort of mentality. Well, apart from the other agents in our areas, obviously. Yeah. I think, you know, we could see beyond that. We've met each other over the years. We've respected each other. We've got a similar sort of ethos in how we sort of want to run our business. And, you know, we've got a big emphasis on our culture within our businesses as well. Kevin mentioned to us that maybe we should do something within the London area and work together as a sort of partnership. And I said, well, look, if I'm going to work with anyone in London, it would be Asad, because I know him, I trust him. You know, we work in a similar way, and I think it would benefit us. And obviously, the network. You know, the whole benefit of the network, you know, it's very difficult starting Land and New Homes on your own, because you want to be able to offer people land. It's not just selling new homes. And you could sell a new home, but then someone else in the network might have a bit of land to offer the person you're targeting up in Manchester or somewhere else. So the bigger our network, the more powerful we are, and you know, we can offer more to prospective clients, developers, house builders. So that's you know, we knew each other from before. We thought, yeah, I could definitely work with Asad. We had a chat about it. It wasn't long. We knew it could work, and that was it. And the rest is history.
It is something we actually talked about for a while before that, wasn't it? We just never sort of could quite work out what we could do together. I think the intention was always there to do something, mainly because, I mean, number one, our businesses are very, very similar. Our cultures are similar, and we share the same business ethos. It's just that this opportunity with Kevin obviously came along. He's the one who mentioned it, and we thought, yeah, that's ideal, actually. Why don't we do this and then take it from there? And it may not be the last one. There may be other things in the future that we need to collaborate on.
Yeah,
okay,
and
Kevin's just joined us. So welcome, Kevin, and Luke Sinclair's just joined us. So welcome, both of you. So obviously, Kevin's a massive fan of new homes with his network, Land and New Homes Network. And Luke, obviously, he's got big new homes in Leicester as well. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say.
Kevin again, or did you hear that?
Big up to Kevin. Yeah. No, I mean, we like Asad said, yeah, we were looking at doing something together. We always speak in terms of what's going on with our businesses now. You know, what issues do we have? What we're doing to solve them. So we're always looking to see how we can sort of help each other, because we usually have the same issues, you know, and we have done over lockdown. We've spoken loads, haven't we? Well, over this period, and I think it is a good thing to sort of collaborate with other agents, because you do learn. You know, you usually have the same issues, and if you speak to someone who is not the enemy, you know, they're going to be willing to tell you what they've done, how they've overcome certain obstacles, and you know, it's always good to learn. And I think that's something that me and Asad have always done as businesses. We've always been sort of open to learning new things and improving our businesses.
So what do you do to go and learn? I know you're both Property Academy members, and you've taken a lot from that. How's that work? Because again, that's another form of collaboration. And you know, for any agents watching here, should they be part of a mastermind group, and what benefits would they get from being part of a mastermind group, whether it's with Peter, whether it's myself, whether it's with Ian, Agency Mentors, whoever it's with? Yeah,
definitely. I think when you look at businesses, everyone has probably exactly the same issues and the problems, and as a sort of principle in the business, it's very, very difficult to talk to anyone within the business about certain issues, and you want to always talk to your peers and get ideas. And what I found is, since I joined the Property Academy and obviously the group with yourself, Stephen, is that everyone has the same issues, and you may learn one thing from another agent that you could implement in your business that's worked really well for them. And just sharing ideas. I think that's probably the biggest value we get out of these mastermind groups is sharing ideas and things that have worked well, things that haven't worked so well. Yeah, that's I think the biggest sort of benefit of a mastermind.
So you two are great, and it's great going to mastermind and learning. And I agree. You know, I belonged to Vistish for 12 years, and it totally changed my life. And you know, if you've got issues, and you can just bounce them off people. Sometimes you listen and sometimes you don't. But I used to come back and drive David Pollock absolutely mad with ideas and suggestions and all of that. Again, you know, we've got Nigel Risner who just joined us. Thank you, Nigel, and Kiri. Hi to you. We're talking with Nigel. He was on last week with Neil, talking about implementation and accountability. So you two guys, you go along and you implement stuff. You know, what's your secret of getting it done? How can people watching this just go out and do what you guys have done, you know, and be the successful brands that you are, you know, whether you're in Highbury, Haringey, Palmer's Green, Stoke Newington, Thetford. I've got to be careful now to get them all right, Cockfosters, and everywhere else. Hi, George. Thanks for joining us.
I think implementation is probably the key to being successful, because you can learn, well, you can listen to people and learn and take it all in and have all these fantastic ideas, but unless you actually implement it, then it's not going to magically transform your business just by you learning it. You have to implement it within your business, and you have to your people have to buy into it as well. So it's about how you sort of deliver your ideas as well. That's sort of just as important. Sometimes just implementing it and not discussing it with your team is not good enough. You know, you need them to buy into it. And I think, you know, for us, you know, for me, Property Academy has been fantastic. Working with you, Stephen's been fantastic. You know, it's not done enough, I think, in the industry, and that's, you know, something that I've been saying for a long time. I don't think people, you know, emphasize training enough. I think you need to be looking at growing your businesses and learning new things. We can't just be stuck in the 80s of how estate agency is. Estate agency is evolving all the time, and you have to be willing to listen and learn new things to be able to be successful. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to be left behind. I think it's really, really important. And for me, you know, when I go to exactly like Asad said, you know, we all have the same problems, but sometimes even more so, I'll go to a Property Academy meeting or listen to someone, and it gets your mind thinking, and I'll actually think of something totally different, another idea, because I've been inspired by what I've just heard. So it gets your sort of juices flowing. I don't know if that's the right word, analogy to use, but I'll use it anyway.
No,
I think one of the other things, you can come back with 10 pages of notes from any particular meeting or training, but what I do, what we do as a team is I pick one and just implement that, because you can come back and go, let's do this, and none of it gets done. So sometimes it's just good to maybe just pick one of the things that you think is going to add the most value to your business at that particular time, and just do that one, and then look to do something else, as opposed to trying to do 3, 4, 5, 6 different things at the same time. You never get around to doing any of them.
And sometimes the mistake that the mistake we've made in the past is actually trying to implement too much all at once. You know, we've been a victim of that, definitely. You know, you come back, you have all these fantastic ideas, but you can't just totally change the business overnight. It has to be small steps that are manageable by your team. Otherwise, you just create chaos. And instead of making those, you know, taking that one step forward, you're probably sometimes taking 2 steps back instead of the other way around. So you've got to be careful. You've got to think, right, what's the most important thing? What's going to make the most difference to my business now? And just run with that. Don't try and do too much at once. That would be my advice, to be honest with you.
Okay, so Nigel summed it up. Where the attention goes, energy flows. Only work on number one.
That's exactly right, yeah.
You've touched both on people. Okay, and I know you've got incredible people in your business, and you've both got incredible cultures. I think there's a common theme. Somebody called Ian White, who's been involved with both of your businesses and has done an incredible job. And we were discussing offline about people, and we were discussing one particular business where only felt his team had gone as far as he can. So how do you both go and get the right people in the right seats for your business?
Charlie?
That's a
question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think for any business, if you ask them what's their biggest challenge, it's always going to be the people. And I think over the years we've all made the same mistakes when it comes to people. But I think you have to be extremely picky as to who you get on board the bus in the first place, and that's what I've learned. So we make it extremely difficult to work for location now. We set our standards very, very high. And what we found is when you start with really, really good people, everything else is so much easier. You have to have less controls in place, less sort of checks and balances in place, because it's a bit like Netflix, for instance. Their people manage themselves because they have such great people, and that's really the vision for our business, is to have phenomenal people who, on the whole, manage themselves. They don't have to be constantly kicked up the bum and checked upon, and are they doing the right things? They just do the right things all the time. Not easy,
No.
but it is obviously what we're aspiring to get to as a business.
Yeah. I think if you've got the right people and you empower them to do the right things, then it becomes a lot easier. Otherwise, you're micromanaging, and you need too many processes in place, and it becomes an impossible task and not an enjoyable task, to be honest. And we've made those mistakes before. We've had situations where we've had to sort of overmanage people. But like Asad said, when you get the right people on the bus, it's a lot easier, and you can trust them and let them grow the business. And don't be afraid to get people that, don't be afraid to give people responsibilities and let them grow the business. You don't always have to sort of be on top of them every step of the way. As long as they know what your objectives are, and you both know what you're trying to achieve, then you've got to give them a little bit of sort of clear run to do that themselves. Otherwise, if you're sort of too on top of someone, then they won't reach their potential, I think.
Where do you know? So as you said, when I used to go to Vistage, the biggest challenge was you talk every month would be the same thing. People. Where would you go and find? I mean, how do you hire these great people? Nigel said, hire nice people, train them. Don't hire Muppets, technical term. But where do you find these? Where can you go and find these people? Are you recruiting from inside the industry, or are you looking outside the industry to get these people?
Personally, we're looking everywhere, to be honest. I mean, some of the best people we've got have been from outside the industry, and we've trained them. And they've been molded into what we want. And the number one attribute we look for, and I'm sure it's the same for Asad, are people that are coachable. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are coachable. We don't want people that are going to come in and think they know everything and there's nothing else to learn, and they are, they're the bee's knees. We want people to be open to learn and improve. So there are, I am open to people within the industry as well, because there's people that might be working for the wrong company where they haven't achieved or fulfilled their full potential. And we have had good people that have come from other companies or relocated. There might be someone that's worked in Leicester and relocating for a certain reason to London, and we're fortunate that sometimes people approach us. They say, we've seen you, we'd like to put our CV forward to you. But again, it's probably if you're looking at percentages, it's probably easier to find someone from outside the industry. But then again, it depends what role you're looking for as well. And it depends, it depends how sort of desperate you are. You don't want to be in a situation where you're desperate and you're looking to recruit. You don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive. If you're proactive, then you can hire people from outside the industry. But we're open-minded. We look at, we work with recruitment agents. We want the staff to recommend. We try and attract people through social media. Every medium. We don't sort of cut off any sort of angle of opportunity for ourselves.
Okay, Asad?
Yeah, I think always be recruiting. That's what I've learned, because good people are so hard to find. What you don't want to do is have a situation where you have to recruit.
Yeah.
And if the person's good enough, then they'll add value to your business. So it's not, you can create a role and they'll obviously work out for you. But that's one of the mistakes we made in the past, where we lost someone and then we had to quickly recruit. Now we're always recruiting. So we may see, 100 CVs and not go with any of them. But you have to, I feel, constantly be looking for good people.
Yeah, be proactive, not reactive in recruitment, definitely. Especially now.
We have the same thing at Green & Co. So we always had a continuous recruitment policy. We would always, get people in. If somebody was good enough, we would find a desk for them, or they would just walk round until we found a desk for them. But you're right. I think it is important. And if you look at, I know we were talking football earlier and about you want to be, I don't know, where do you want to be, Champions League now, or winning the Premiership? They're constantly improving their players and getting players in there to keep them at the levels that they need to be. And likewise, agents need to be doing exactly the same thing. Do you have an interview process, both of you, that works for you? Before rather than see, because I can imagine at the moment there's a lot of people out looking. And in fact, big shout out to Kevin Ellis. Somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn yesterday, and this is what I like about collaborating and helping, and just said to me, I'm looking to try and get into the new homes market. I introduced this lady to Kevin, and incredibly grateful. He's recommended loads of people, so thank you, Kevin. Really kind of you to do that. But what do you do? What's your recruitment process? How's it work? How many times do you see them? Or if you like somebody, do they start the next day with you? Is it that gut feel?
No. You've got to be. I think you've got to be cautious always. And it's almost like we would typically do 2 or 3 interviews, 3 when we can. And it would be, I would be in one of the interviews at least. Our head of operations would be in one of them, and we'd have someone from the team that they were going to be working with in the interview as well. Obviously with Zoom interviews at the moment, it's quite good because you can record them. So there's been a lot of times when I've just had a recording sent to me. And you can almost, rule people out or in through initial Zoom meetings. We always try to make the interviews different. And I was saying to Asad before, it's the most difficult thing in the world, because someone can perform really well in an interview, but we try and sort of surprise them sometimes with certain questions and we ask them questions along the lines of how they would react in a certain situation, just to see how they would react in under pressure, or especially if something went against them, not their way, and see how they would react in those kind of situations. Because that's when you can see sort of a true personality, and you've got to make them relax and get their personality out sometimes, don't you? And it's a bit harder with Zoom, to be honest, but we've found it okay now. We've recruited through Zoom interviews. I don't think it makes it any harder, but I think you've got to be patient. You can't just listen to the recruiters and say, oh, they've got like 3 offers. You've got to no. If they're the right person, they will work for Anthony Pepe or location. They'll be patient. They'll know that we want people to want to work for us first of all. So don't be rushed by the recruiters saying you've got to offer. They've got they've got 5 offers or 3 interviews tomorrow. I think you've got to stick to your processes, because if you don't stick to your processes, that's where you can make mistakes. Do you agree, Asad? I think that's
Yeah, we have. I still like to see everyone in person. I just don't feel comfortable recruiting over Zoom. Others may. I actually want to meet that person, socially distanced, obviously. But we have a sort of a stage. So we have the first one that we ask them to send a video in of questions that we've sort of pre-asked, and then it'll be a Zoom, and then it'll be 1 to 2 face-to-face as well. I'll be in most of those interviews alongside Vicky, and then the last interview is with the team members. So if it's sales, then a couple of the sales team, or lettings, a couple of the lettings team. They also do a psychometric test, personality profile as well. That's stage 3. And that also gives us a sort of detailed insight into their personality as well.
Which do you use that, just out of interest? Which
it's a company called McQuaig. It's someone
as well. Scarily accurate. I've done one for myself. Yeah, scarily accurate.
About a 35-page report.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's extreme. I mean, it's quite costly. It costs about £60-70 per report. But I'd rather pay that than get the wrong person.
Yeah, well worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's well worth it.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks for sharing those. Training wise, you touched on it before. So, obviously you go and both to the property academy and you're with like-minded people. What training are you doing with your colleagues and how frequently?
We have weekly sessions in-house. Vicky leads most of those. And then we also have a quarterly session where the team actually pick a theme and train everybody else.
Okay.
All new recruits have an onboarding process. Stephen, you're part of that as well. So
thank you.
Stephen gets to train a lot of the new recruits as well. So yeah, the training's ongoing. Ian White comes in or was coming in once a month as well. So yeah, it's an ongoing program for the training program.
And do you set that at the start of every year? So, like having a marketing, this is what we're going to do for marketing this year. This is what we're going to do for training, and you've got a training budget?
Not specifically a training budget. It is what it is. Whatever it costs. We don't sort of set a budget and really stick to it. The training sessions are planned out quarterly. So we plan out that quarter's training sessions, and then we review it at the end of that quarter and see what worked, what didn't work, and then go again.
Okay. So again, you're always refining things, and the same with systems and processes.
Yeah.
What can you do to be better all the time?
Absolutely.
See why you're both world-class agents.
Yeah, we have a similar process to Asad, obviously, and use yourself and Ian. So we've always got someone coming in externally every month at least. But I do think you have to have a certain amount of flexibility because the market changes. So you may need a certain amount of training in something else at a certain point. If we're struggling to get properties on and we need to hone in on our prospecting, Stephen's the man. We'll bring in Stephen to get everyone brushed up on their prospecting. And sometimes when we've got new recruits, we might get them to speak to Julian O'Dell as well. We do again coaching with Ian White, sort of the mentoring with Ian White as well with us. And we've got we've got a thick sort of booklet that we've created basically of sort of how to guide at Anthony Pepe. So all our processes, and we go through that. The first thing that anyone does when they start Anthony Pepe is they read this. I call it our protocol document, but really it's
Bible of excellence.
It is a Bible of excellence. We've got to think of a better word for it, to be honest. Yeah, Bible of excellence is not bad.
Thank you. So I just want to come back to collaboration, because that's where we were meant to start and talk about at the start, and we've really gone off piece. So how do you think agents can start collaborating a lot more? Do you think agents can collaborate a lot more, or do you just think really this is going to be a one-off? I know there's loads of Facebook groups out there where starting to see agents helping other agents up and down the country, which I think is amazing. And I wish I had that when I was at Green & Co. to bounce so many ideas. So I think collaboration is fantastic, and, helping people. And then, the two of you are joining forces. Can you see it happening a lot more? Or do you think there's a lot of people are far too short-sighted to think, well, it's my, I'm not going to help them down the road. Why should I?
I think it will happen a lot more. I think the difference is with sort of 10, 15 years ago, you probably only knew the agent just down the road. You didn't know, through the power of social media, Facebook, and all these networking groups that we're on, you do get to know agents across the country. I mean, I know so many agents now all throughout the UK.
Well, that's because you're famous. Chris Watkins just interviewed you, hey? We all know about you being an accountant. We're not sure whether you were married to your wife before or after, but apart from that, we're all right.
It was just after, I think, yeah. My wife reminded me. No, so I mean, even with Twitter. So when I got on Twitter years ago, and I met so many agents through Twitter and collaborated in certain ways through that medium. And I think now, because of the technology we have and the social media, it is easier to collaborate. But I always think it's going to be the good agents and the ones that are open-minded that are going to do that anyway. So the person who doesn't want to do that and has that mindset of, it's them and us and sort of everyone else, they're never going to collaborate. But I think you can learn from people, and I think you can work together. I don't think, and I think estate agency as a whole would improve and be in a better place if there was more collaboration. Definitely. I mean, we went and we touched on it before, but me and Asad went and spoke to Paramount. So we spoke to
Spencer, a friend of the show. He's very good.
Fantastic agent, and we learned a lot from that meeting, So I think you should speak to other agents. You should reach out and be part of a group, or even whether it's just on social media network. I think you've always got something to learn. It's very important, I think.
What do you think stops people then going and say picking up the phone to you guys and having a conversation? Because I know you're very amenable to conversations, or I hope you are, otherwise I'm putting words in your mouth. But there's some people, it's great that you went to Spencer and you had that conversation. Other people will be intimidated by thinking, oh, I'm not going to pick up the phone to Spencer, and they have this fixed mindset. How, again, if you're watching this and there's going to be people watching this that are afraid to ask, what advice would you how can they go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset?
I think it's very, very difficult to go from a fixed to a growth. How do you ask? You just ask, I think. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no. Doesn't cost you anything. But unless you ask, you don't get. And I think with collaboration and learning from other people, for instance, I'll give you an example. Andrew Overman, who's just started a location branch in Thetford. We actually agreed everything, and I've never even met him in person. The first time we met was on the EA podcast, as in virtually, and everything else was agreed virtually, and then we met afterwards.
I thought you liked to meet people face to face. I thought you liked to meet people face to face.
Yeah, but I think with Andy, because it was very, very apparent from very early on that we shared similar values.
And Andy, he's a celebrity as well. He is,
yeah. And obviously I spoke to other people about him, Stephen Brown, who I trust implicitly, to get their opinions as well. And everyone had great things to say about him. So for me, it's a no-brainer.
He phoned me up just to check if you were all right. So he's a top bloke. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Support the crap team, but
Yeah. So you never know. You just need to ask the question, really, and something will come of that.
Yeah, I'm sure Asad as well. I'm happy to speak to anybody who wants to, to pick up the phone and give us a call. I'm happy to sort of share my mistakes, mainly that we've made over the years.
Discoveries, they're discoveries, no longer mistakes. Discoveries.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very kind. Kevin's just put on here, too many agents have a hungry hippo syndrome, and yet so much more to be won by working collaboratively. You know, and that's what the Land and New Home Network has done, and done very, very well. So that's what Kevin's done is fantastic.
And I think in this country, that it is the culture, isn't it, to not work with other agents. Whereas in other countries, you know, they have sort of multi-listing platforms. Agents are more used to working together collaboratively. And, you know, maybe that will happen in the future. You know, maybe there will be it will change, and you know, the system has to change, conveyancing has to change, the whole process of buying property has to change, probably for that to happen and evolve. But you know, that probably is the future, and especially now with more people sort of collaborating in a sort of partnership way, so self-employed models and stuff like that. I think that will help speed that up, to be honest.
And don't be afraid of your competition finding out what you do. I don't really care, because it's one thing knowing what someone does, it's another thing doing it. And this is where most people come unstuck, is they're not actually prepared to do the work as in the competition. So I'm quite happy for them to know how we do it and what we do. It's just I know most of them won't do it, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
No,
and they've got the right people to implement it as well. That's the other thing.
100%. Here's a question for you. So how did Charlie find it expanding out to multiple offices? Would he do it again, or would you stick to less offices covering a bigger area?
Yes. So yes, we if I could do it again, I would probably just stick to less offices, expand bigger areas, have more sort of people looking at different areas, rather than just thinking, right, I've got to open an office in that area. Because for me, right now, an office is a billboard. You know, it can help you, especially if you've got a very prominent office, but it is effectively a billboard. You know, at the moment, all our offices are shut. You know, we don't, all the doors shut, and we're just working as offices. Basically, no one comes in. And you know, we're not even taking appointments, we're just doing viewings and valuations. Doesn't make a difference to our business at all, but we've got prominent shop fronts that obviously help people see them. So there is value in having offices, but if I was to do it again, I would probably I would do it differently. I would definitely look at the hub model, or a cross in between, and that's what we're doing now. We've got great offices, and we wouldn't get rid of those offices because they're in prominent positions and everyone knows us. But because they do know us, we can now implement the hub model as well. I'm not sure, though, if we just did the hub model to start off with, if it would have been successful, because it might have been more difficult for people to get to know our brand without our prominent shop fronts that we have. So there's no perfect solution, Stephen, I don't think, to it. But I think sometimes the mistake that we made is we spread ourselves too thin, too quickly, and you're trying to battle in different areas all the time, and your focus is not, you're not focused on one area to dominate one area. And you know, you need to get to a certain point of market share for it to work sometimes, especially when you've got an office or an area. And right now, though, we're not limited to areas. We can operate anywhere, and we're going down more of a, you know, we're a North London agent, but we're expanding into Hertfordshire. So we're not limited by offices. I think that's what an office does. It just limits you in terms of where you can operate.
If you look at Spencer's business, Paramount, they're one office, and they cover most of London. 40% of their instructions are outside their immediate patch, so it can be done, absolutely. And I think the beauty of having everything in one place is that it's much easier to maintain the culture. And Charlie's right, there are benefits to both, but what we found is like Ian White says, is squeeze the lemon where you are first. I think being in a rush to open lots of offices, thinking you're going to earn twice or 3 or 4 times the income. I don't think it happens. I think if you squeeze the lemon where you are first, get the most out of the area, then look to expand from there.
Yeah, and technology allows you to do that now, because obviously we're all digital agencies in effect. We're marketing ourselves online. So we're not limited by people walking into our offices. No one walks in anymore. Everything's online. All our interactions are online, and we can have a phone line anywhere. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. We're not limited by that. So that's helped us. If you go back 20 years, and obviously you probably did need to have an office to expand, but things change quickly. And as Asad said, it is easier to keep your culture strong within one location. It does dilute as you have multiple locations. We had issues with our property management when they were spread over different locations, and then we moved them to one location, and then we learned a lot. The one thing I came away from Spencer was, how do you not isolate teams? Because if you've got them in different locations, sometimes they feel isolated. Even with us, with property management, we had everyone in one place eventually, but then they felt detached from the rest of the team. And a good tip that that Spencer said was, he doesn't even have the property management team sitting by themselves. He mixes everyone up, even within one office, so they all feel as one, because it's you're one company. You shouldn't be sales, lettings, property management, let alone sales and property management and lettings. It's lettings is lettings. You're one department, but you've got to work together. So there's, first of all, there's got to be collaboration within your actual company first as well. That's important. And I think a lot of companies make that mistake. They separate everything, and I don't think that's helpful to squeezing the lemon, basically, because there's a lot more business you can do with each other within the business, being collaborative within departments.
Spot on. There's so many cross-selling opportunities that are being missed day in, day out, that actually, if you squeeze the lemons with those, rather than going out for looking for new business, you've got it sat there. It's all in your customer base. It's making sure that your teams are fully aware. And you're right, actually, that's a really good point about, are all your teams collaborating, letting, sales, because everybody should be one, because there are so many opportunities in all those different departments collaborating for each other. So Rob, hopefully, let us know, does that answer your question? Andy Overman, thanks very much for joining us. Good afternoon to you. We've already been singing your praises. We're not going to sing them twice in one afternoon. So final question, because I'm really grateful for your time. So thank you both. Asad, I know you've got a library of books, most probably to your left or right, whichever way. Yeah, that way. Top 3 books you've ever come across. Charlie, I'm buying your time here, all right?
Ever?
Best 3 books.
So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People would be one.
Got one.
Principles would be another one, by Ray Dalio, which is a phenomenal book. I've just finished reading The Ride of a Lifetime by Robert Iger. Yeah, which is
Disney Chief Executive.
Sorry?
The Disney Chief Executive.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend that one as well.
Yeah, that was it. That's an exceptional read.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie, have you had long enough yet?
Harry Potter and Arsene Wenger. My story. Stephen Covey, definitely. You've got to read that. I think that's probably number one. The chimp. The chimp. What's that? That's
Paradox.
The chimp paradox. That's it. I think that's quite good, because that sort of makes you think about how you react to certain situations. And the one you recommended to me, Asad, Traction, that was good as well. That was a good book.
Yeah, absolutely. There's loads.
There's so many.
And I'm going to have to get you to take a picture of your library so we can decide.
Yeah, I've got it at home actually. I should have told it at home. I've got the library behind me, and I could have just seen and
a bit of it.
been able to tell you. But, there's so many. You should always be reading and sort of learning, I think. But at the same time, don't always only read self-help books, and development books. Try and read something a little bit long.
Arsene Wenger, okay. Trying to sell it. Does he?
It was a bit disappointing, to be honest. He didn't really say much.
At least he won trophies, Charlie. At least he won trophies.
We said we weren't going to talk about football, Stephen. You promised me. Come on.
Well, I'm not talking about it. You've won trophies. We've won nothing. So you're all right. You two are fine. You two are laughing. I'm the one who's crying. What's a trophy?
True.
Anyway, thank you both so much for your time. Really grateful. Thank you all for watching, whether you're watching now, whether you're watching on replay, whether you're listening to it as a podcast, which you can now listen to on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, and loads of other places. Thanks very much. On Thursday at 12:30, I'm going to be joined by Tim Coulter, who's going to be talking about BJ Fogg and human behaviour and behaviour design and tiny habits. It's going to be really interesting. So please join me then at 12:30 and have a great Tuesday afternoon. And thanks very much, Charlie and Asad, for being wonderful guests. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Take care.